My name is Juan Michael Porter II. I am the artistic director of the Moving Beauty series. This scene from the Circus of Life is called the Suicidalogue. It stars Eve Chan as the Light of Hope. When I called Eve into the studio, I knew I wanted to talk about suicide, and I knew I didn't want it to be with a set of pretty little pictures. Suicide is something I've dealt with since I was 5 years old, and I knew if I was going to talk about it here, it would have to be with honesty, with strength and grace. The movement I created for Eve's character is direct and flowing, and contemplative. Her message isn't either this way or that way. It's not something she's using to drive over your head. It's typically when people discuss suicide, it's from the vantage point that suicide is a bad thing, and anyone who thinks about it is a terrible person, and that really isn't the way you want to have that sort of conversation, which is precisely the point. It has to be a dialogue, not a lecture. So the message I gave Eve is one of uncompromising strength and compassion, so she could really represent the people who would be left behind and represent their willingness to say, we don't have all the answers. The only answer that we have is we want you in our life, so please don't shut us out. Maybe you have the answer and maybe you don't. That's something that the people in my life have always been kind enough to grant me. A consideration for doubt, a resolve to not give up on me, and the resolve to listen in spite of the very difficult things that I have to say. This moment is what it would be like to dive over a cliff, to look as far down as you can, and then to consider what it would be to grab onto something, to hang on, and then to climb your way back to the top. What would happen? If you fell down and climbed your way back up, would that mean that you'd won? Have you taken a step forward? Or have you taken a step backwards? How soon before you fell again? And when you did, would you fall forward? Would you fall backwards? This is the Suicidalogue. My name is Juan Michael Porter II.